that you know how. Thank you. What is important is that you know how to use the business model canvas and specific to your own idea. And that's not something you're going to get on Google or in any other workshop. That is why it is so important for you to make every effort to get the maximum out of this session. Having four senior people sitting in and on this call is just testimony to what we believe is the value you will get if you put your mind to it. Yeah. So I'm very hopeful that all of you here are coming with this, and this being your first session, that you will take this session, use it really to understand what you are looking to do, break it down into the different components, which Teresa will take you through them. And of course, Feliciana and Hema will help you all in this, because we're going to also have breakout sessions, understand better how to utilize it. So all I will say is, firstly, once again, congratulations for being a part of this, to be selected to be a part of this program. Two, please use it to the maximum possible to help you clarify your thoughts and ideas. And last but not the least, wish you all the very best and hope that all your thoughts and dreams and ideas really fructify. Yeah. All the very best once again. And over to Teresa. Teresa.
Thank you, Kiran. I think Kiran has set the context from not just from the program perspective, from where this program is coming from. And I think I will not spend a lot of time talking about giving context. So I think let's jump in to the session. We are already at 6:10. My goal is to wrap up at 8 o'clock so that everybody can go back to their evening schedule. So Felician, can you share the screen?
Teresa, maybe just one thing is, tell them about the chat box. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Kiran. So what about the chat box?
No, to use it, what we typically tell them,
Yeah,
to put
yeah.
it
So
in
it's
their
there in
comments.
the yeah.
Keep it
It's there
active
in
and
the.
live. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, so today's session will be focusing on business model canvas, but since it's the first session and for the first 12 minutes or so we have been talking, but I promise you after couple of slides we would want to hear all from you. And there is an introduction part of the program. Felician, can we have the second slide? Felician, can you put the second slide on?
Yeah, just a minute, please. Is it visible for everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so these are the house rules. Um, Kindly rename yourself. First name, last name would be nice. So that if you already have established your business and have a specific name of or have a specific name of your project or initiative, you can put that. Country, sorry, it is a instruction that I copy pasted from other program, and the country exists, but I know we are all from India. So I am Teresa Dow from IDOPRO Impact Solution. I would request everybody to keep their videos on, at least for the first few minutes, so that I know that there are faces behind all these names. So I can see Dishant has switched on his camera. Thank you so much. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Gia. If I butcher your name, please correct me. If I can have few more cameras, that would be amazing. Okay, thanks, Shrikant. Thanks, Dia. Okay, Dia. Okay, thank you. Vishwas, okay. Vishwas is saying, I'm sorry, but there is a technical issue. No worries. Anand, Anukruti, do you think you'll be able to switch on your camera? Even for a little bit, that would be nice to see some faces, at least in the initial part of the session. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Kriti. Can you change your names to your first name, last name? And you can, instead of country, you can write maybe the city you're from. Okay, great. So, I have curated a wonderful session for you, but it will be wonderful only if certain rules are followed. One is that this is going to be an intense session, intense as in like not like really a session that will make you think why are you part of the program, but really make you think through your program, your project of and the different elements and how you can really put whatever thought you have into action points. So you would need a pen and notebook to be part of the session because we'll be having a breakout activity and there would be a lot of discussion. There are polls and activities and Q&As that we have curated. The session will work only if you participate. So if you can't participate by unmuting yourself, feel free to put it on chat. Any questions that you might have, any response to the question that I ask you, there is no right or wrong answer at this point of time because it's a tool that we will be learning. It's a project idea that you're working on, and there would be a lot of figuring out at this point of time. So don't hesitate to write any answer. There is nobody judging you for the answers. We would want to know what you're thinking so that we can give our comments and we can give you suggestions. But if you are not comfortable unmuting, put it on chat and we will figure out how to respond to your answer. Um, ask As I said, you can ask questions any point of time. You can type them in the chat. You can raise your hand, unmute, and ask your question as well. If there are tech challenges, which happens almost in all sessions, please bear with us, and we will resolve it. There would be a lag or delay, but we'll resolve it immediately for the continuance of the session. Also, everybody is in different stages in life, and there is a wide variety of age group and experience in this group. So please be respectful and kind during interaction. Everybody is on a learning journey, including your facilitators. So it's okay to make mistakes, and it's important to be respectful and kind to other people during interactions. Yeah. So these are basic house rules. Nothing complicated. Felicia, can I have the next slide? Okay, this is today's agenda. We have already done introduction of the facilitators. Now we'll be having introductions of all the participants. We'll be talking about who your key stakeholders are, what is the kind of social impact you intend to have through your project. We'll go through the business model canvas tool. Uh, in general, I'll give you some examples. Then we break out into 3 rooms, and in each room, all of you would be working on your own individual business model. We'll be giving you the template in chat. And then we come back after 30 minutes. We'll have a discussion from each group and then we wrap up. Yeah. Can I have the next slide? So next slide is basically introduction. Oh, next slide is the poll. Felicia, and I'll launch the poll.
Yeah.
Okay, we are going to have the first poll, and you will have 30 seconds to respond. Actually, 30 seconds is too less for this, but maybe a minute to respond. There are only 2 questions. The first question is, what stage of ideation are you in your community-based ESG project? So you're still thinking and refining your project idea or concept. Have you identified a social issue? You're very sure this is the issue that you're going to be working on, but haven't really developed it completely, the idea. You have a clear idea and you have started planning the details. And the last one is you have started actively engaging with your potential beneficiaries or other stakeholders. um have you thought of your revenue model? You will have a revenue model in the long run, or would it be non-profit based model where you'll be fundraising? Or if you don't know what it at this stage of time it would be. Okay, so I think we have got adequate responses. So I am going to end the poll and share the results. So most of you are still brainstorming and refining your project concept, which is great at this point of time because BMC will really help you think through the aspects of these of your project. We've identified the social issue and have developed the idea completely. That is also great because then you can go into the details. If you know what is going to your revenue model is, that is amazing. If not, that is also cool because you will eventually you will um, come up with an idea to make it sustainable. Yeah. So thank you everyone for participating in the poll. And let's do some introduction. So why don't we go ahead through the room and understand who all are there today with us. Felician, you can put the next slide. The introduction methodology is you will tell us your name. You'll tell us very briefly in 2 or 3 lines what your project is about. And third, you will give us a fact about yourself. Any fun fact, any quirky fact, any serious fact would also. Who wants to go first? Aaron, I can see you are thinking very seriously about going first. So why don't you start?
Uh, sure. Should I go? Should I start? Okay. So hi, I'm Aaron Sikwara. I'm from Mumbai, and there's a lot of commotion because it's Ganesh Chaturthi, so kindly just ignore that. Um, One quirky fact about me is that I own 94 plants and I do write poems as well. So yeah, that's all. That's all about me.
Tell us about your project idea.
Sorry, I forgot. Okay, so I'm working on LGBTQ plus community gardens, and I'm trying to incorporate women and people with disabilities as well in it. And it might, from a sustainability angle, we are trying to include recycled plastic benches and gender neutral washrooms in order to promote like ESG, the environment, sustainability, and governance. Like from all perspective, I'm trying to focus on this project. It's still in its initial stages, so we'll just go about it later on. So yeah, that's that.
Fantastic. Thank you. Who wants to go next?
Maybe I can go next, Saira.
Yes, Priyanka.
So my name is Priyanka Khalswal. I currently work with Microsoft Philanthropies in India. My idea is about encouraging eco-friendly gatherings, which means about fostering sustainable methods for organizing events both at home and for large assemblies, which in particular has emphasis on eliminating plastic usage and discovering sustainable and reusable options within our household and our communities. And one of the quirky facts, or one of the me is I think it's a serious fact rather than exploring a lot of sports activities as well as the adventure activities, which is about mountain climbing, swimming, badminton, gym, and lot of it. Thanks.
Fantastic. Okay. Neil, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. So, hi, I'm Neil. I'm currently studying in NMIMS Bombay and I'm from this. My idea was basically, I would like to work eventually in public policy, especially with the key takeaway of environmental, like sustainability. So, but currently I'm in a spot where I can't take any top-down changes. So when it came time to think about a bottom-up approach, my idea was for vertical gardens in urban centers because I feel that that's something that's very accessible to people. It requires a low level of education, and that's something that can be developed in a very indigenous manner, where we make it a truly Indian project, which from whatever research I've done, at least can definitely minimize costs in how it's being implemented today. So that's my basic idea, but of course it's at such a preliminary stage that I'm open to completely changing it, modifying it, whatever. Um, and one quirky fact, I'm not sure if this is quirky, maybe more nerdy fact about me is that I'm a huge fan of public transit and especially public buses.
I think that is a must required fact for all people to ensure sustainability in the long run. So kudos to you for having that passion for public transport. Great. Gia, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name is Gia. I'm currently studying at St. Xavier's College in my final year. And my idea for my ESG project was to find out the needs and the requirements of domestic helpers in Mumbai. And then, based on that, to maybe start some sort of initiative that would benefit them the most. And one fun fact about me is I play the violin.
Wow. Thanks, Gia. Next, who wants to go? And few people need to give me company in my journey of keeping the video on, okay? So Anukriti, you want to go next? Oh, Shrikant, please go ahead.
Yes, hello, I'm Shrikant, and like my project was about creating a green community hub, promoting sustainability and social connections. So, like in urban centers, basically creating a urban forest, and the project aims to establish a community hub that fosters environmental sustainability practices, promotes like connections, and supports local governance initiatives. So, like people would come there and have a good environment, and they can also foster on local governance basically. Like they can discuss it about it, they can have a free chat about.
Okay, I think we Shrikant got cut short. Maybe internet issues, but let's move on. Anukriti, you want to go next?
Yeah. Hi all, my name is Ankiti Yadav and I'm currently in Gurgaon. And my idea revolves around gardening, particularly kitchen gardening at home. So, wherein it will meet ESG criteria, like using kitchen waste for gardening and at the same time getting healthy food to eat. And it's in the initial stage, and I look forward to refine it more. And one unique fact about me is I like being in nature, and my hobbies are also related to nature. I like gardening. I like taking nature photo pics. That's all. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Anukriti. Next, Dia, you want to go next?
Yeah, hello everybody. So I'm still heading home, so that's why I haven't switched on my camera. So basically, I work as a senior consultant in ESG strategy, and I have recently shifted to Mumbai. It's just been like 20 days, and so my project is about that there is a lot of coconut waste, and India is 32% world's coconut producer. So that coconut waste can be converted to activated charcoal, and it can actually solve the problem of water pollution. There are a lot of communities which they don't have accessible to clean drinking water, or a basic clean water for domestic purposes. So that thing can help them, and it can be extracted as a very low cost. So this is my basic idea, and I am still refining it. And a fact about me is it is weird. So I used to love the rains, when I was back in Delhi, and I just don't like them now because it's been too much now. My clothes are drying. So yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Dia. Okay, Anand. Anand, if you're saying something, we can't hear you. Okay, so we'll move on, and maybe if Anand, if you're facing any tech problem, you can put the information on chat. But feel free to unmute yourself again and give your introduction during the session. No worries. Dishant, you want to go next? Okay, Dishant is also not able to use his audio because traveling. No, no worries. I will read out the idea. Okay, Anand has a tech problem. Sorry for not able to use audio. My idea is about just transition of critical minerals, that is aluminium, uh, in specific as a part of ESG. Okay, so more on circular economy and using aluminium, recycling and aluminium in the economy. Great. Fun fact about me is I like to sculpt. Oh, nice. Great. So Anand, maybe you can type in the information as well, and I can read it out for the benefit of all the participants. And we have Vishwas, last introduction of Vishwas.
Hello, sorry, firstly, due to technical issue, I was not able to turn on my camera. So my name is
No
Vishwas
worries.
Vishwakarma, and my project idea is basically incorporation of ESG KPIs in public development projects. So I'm like the project domain is quite wide, so I'm not sure that how I'll be going forward with this. But throughout the session, I'll be flexible around the topic, and I'll also assess if I can change this topic into a smaller project. Fun fact about me would be I always need a music by my side while I
Oh,
want to sleep.
oh, so we have bunch of artists between us. We have somebody who sculpts, we have somebody who plays violin, and then we have Vishwas as well. So really nice. Okay, so I think we have lost Felician to the internet. So I will be sharing the PowerPoint and we'll take it from there. Okay, we have done the introduction. So before we move ahead onto the BMC, there are few things that we need to know to work on BMC. One is, who is your key stakeholder? So key stakeholder is a person, and I'm referring to generally the question for anybody has a startup. The question is, who is your customer? Okay, but since this is a social impact project and this is about engaging your stakeholders, I want to ask you, who is your key stakeholders, and they have to be one of these three people for your stage of the your stage of the project. So one key stakeholder would be somebody who uses your product or services directly, is the person directly use the product or service. For example, if you're creating a safe space for LGBTQ community and women and PWDs, then your direct user or your direct stakeholder are all these people. If you're working with somebody who for say a community to make clean water accessible, so then your direct beneficiary or direct stakeholder are the people who are going to access that water from the community. And the third kind of stakeholder is the paying customer. Paying customer is somebody who will exchange money to get the product and service that you're using. So I would like to understand few examples of who are your stakeholders. These are the people that you will first. These will be your first point of people that you will go out and reach out for your project. So think about who is the first person that you would want to connect for your project idea, and they can be anybody who are not your direct beneficiaries or direct service consumers, but they can be the stakeholders whom you have to convince to get your project going. So can we have some examples of who the stakeholders would be from all of you? It is okay. This is just an exercise. You don't have to stick to your stakeholder for long. This is for the purpose of exercise. So if you change your project idea or tweak it little bit, there is it doesn't mean that if you said that my stakeholders are women, you have to stick with them forever now. So feel free. Things evolve for even for startup enterprises. So right now, whoever is your stakeholder, you need to mention that. So who wants to share the main
Can
stakeholders
I?
for their project? Yes, please.
I'm sorry, my video is switched off. I'm actually
No
in
worries.
college right now. So, um,
Oh,
not in a lecture, just in college.
okay.
So a stakeholder for my idea would be someone like a community leader, or in Bombay we have blocks. So a block leader, because they would
Hmm.
be the ones who would be implementing the ideas of a vertical
Right,
garden in their district, not
right,
district, in their
right.
neighborhood.
Somebody who is like a block officer or somebody
Yeah.
who is managing the local administrative basically. So
Yes.
Dia has shared that. Yeah, sorry. Sorry.
Yes. No, that's all. Thank you.
Okay. So Dia has shared that her stakeholders are suppliers, government official, the people accessing my product. Okay, great, Dia. Anand has said that vendors in my case, okay, people who install solar power generators on our behalf, they will be the one doing the work on the ground throughout the life cycle. Okay, great. Any more ideas on who your key stakeholders would be, or who your who your who would be the first point of contact for you when you start implementing? Yes, Gia.
So I think since I'm trying to reach out to domestic helpers, maybe NGOs who they are a collective of, or if I
Right.
could, I don't know if it's a bad idea, but if I could just directly contact any domestic helpers in my area or like around
Right.
places where I know.
Got it. So domestic helpers would be your key stakeholders. Fantastic. Shrikant has written that his stakeholders would be universities, students' unions, and NGOs. Great. Aaron, you want to share?
Oh yeah, as you said, like my first stakeholders would be the LGBTQ community, the members of the LGBTQ, but I'm more focusing on the transgenders because it would
Hmm.
also give them a source of employment as well. So I would have to go through the NGOs like Nazaria, Humsafar Trust, Periphery, and Indian Aces,
Right.
Queer Girl, and all them. So they will be my
Right.
first stakeholders to like initial, like to project, like to explain my project to them. So yeah.
Right. So let me explain to you, stakeholders, or in the context of running a sustainable enterprise, who would be your who would be your customers, irrespective of you are a non-profit or for-profit, you will always have end customers, and we will be covering it a little bit more deeply in the next slide. But I just want to finish this conversation. So when you think of any kind of project, there are people who will be direct using your product and service. For example, if you're working on education, children are your target audiences, are your target customer who will be using your product or service. But the decision making for the children would be done by the parents. So if the parents are convinced, they will take the product to their kids. But you might be selling this to the school, so your customer at that, the paying customer at that point of time would become your school. So your material or your benefits are for the parents, your user is the students, and your target customer, the person that you have to convince, become the school. So look at where in this hierarchy is your customer or is your main stakeholder whom you have to build your product for. Depending on the stage of your project or your business idea, your stakeholder will change. If you're building a product or a service, you first have to focus on the user of your product or your service. Once you have built your product and service, then you will go to the second point of contact, second layer of the stakeholder, which is the one who is going to make the decision for you to take the product and service to your customer or consumer. And then the third person would be the one who will be distributing or buying your product. So figure out where you are, if you have these three layers or not. If you don't have it, that's best. But if you have done, figure out which stage of the business you are and where you have to start developing your business, developing your project idea. And I'm going to just give you a disclaimer that because I work with businesses, I will keep talking about, I'll be using the business lingos, but if you don't understand, please stop me and I will respond to you from the project perspective. Okay, next slide. Huh. Now think about what is the social impact you want to bring in through your project idea. And as I said, this is a starting point. So your project idea will evolve. But right now you need a anchor to get started. So think about what kind of once you implemented the idea, what kind of social change you're expecting. I've written down few examples. So somebody who is looking at ESG, do they want to see sustainable business practices like MSMEs implementing sustainable business practices through a set of either policies or through a set of software in their organization? If somebody is working on water, then the person would see like reduced water wastage in the city of Mumbai. Somebody who is trying to do community-based farming, then they will see the communities having access to organic food through the community farming initiative. And somebody who is trying to set up a tailoring unit for low income women, she will see livelihood happening for low income community women of a low income women in a specific community through the tailoring unit he or she is trying to establish. So these are some examples, but let's take few examples from all of you on what kind of social change you expect after you implement the project. And as I said, this is not Patthar Ki Lakir. This is a anchor point for you to think through your business idea, through your project idea. Sorry. It is okay to be wrong. Yes, Aaron.
So when my first thought about idea, it was just about empowering the marginalized within marginalized spaces. So the LGBTQ plus I community is still like they are a stigma to people. Like to bring them into people as well when there are like pride parades, people look at them and then they feel like, oh, why are they even here? What are they doing? So this community gardens could play a role to integrate and socialize this community with the straight people. Like, I mean, I might be offending someone, but it can bring everyone together. So my plan in this community gardens was like it can provide a source of employment, and the trust, the NGOs, they can come forward, they can have their own events over here, and we can also set up like a small library or like a storytelling session for children. There are many books about um, queer couples as well. So it could also inculcate young minds about this community. It can create inclusivity as well. So this is the whole thing which I'm trying to aim through this project itself.
Right. So if I understand it correctly, maybe you're trying to create safe spaces for different kinds of people through social activities. That is your social change that you want to see, having a safe space for all kinds of people uh, with social activities involved. Okay, that's a good starting point. I think I have got some comments. Tia said that reduce waste, clean water, and fewer waterborne diseases, a little extra income for the farmers. That's great. Shrikant is saying promoting sustainability and social connections. So, Shrikant, this is great, but you may want to put a little bit more, I would say structure, but a little bit more certainty to what exactly will happen. So, promoting sustainability and social connection is very general. If you can make it a little bit more specific, that would be great. Yes, Neil.
So I think for my idea, it would be the creation of green spaces in urban areas and
Mm-hmm.
especially creation of green spaces in existing spaces.
Right. So your social impact would be having green spaces in existing social spaces that are available. Great.
Yes, yeah.
We have few more responses. Anand, my startup is focused on environment impact, but there is a social aspect also. Goal are to catalyze the transformation to clean energy. At the same same time, fossil fuel industry employment will come down. So would love to create new job in our sector for all those who are vulnerable. Wow, that's a widespread or scalable impact. Gia said to set up an initiative that would uplift domestic helpers in society, provide a sense of economic independence. Okay, so these are good articulation of social impact that you would want to visualize, and keep thinking more. The more specific you have, the better it is for you. For example, think in terms of location, number, people, quantity. Think in terms of not just now, think in terms of 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line. um, Transitioning to a clean energy will take decades if not years. So think about what is it that you can achieve in the next 5 years, 3 years, so long term, short term. Yeah. Okay. uh oh, we have a poll. Ferishan, do you think you can launch the poll? Okay, let me launch it. Okay, very simple question. Are you familiar with business model canvas? Is the poll visible?
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay, great. One person is aware. Five people have said they are not. Okay, let's give it 30 seconds more for everybody to respond. Okay, 2, 3 people need to respond so that we can close the poll. Okay, I'm going to do a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, I'm going to share the results. So most of you are not aware. 2 people are aware of business model canvas. Good. Nice. So whoever knows about the business model canvas, please feel free to jump in and help me in implementing and share your inputs. That would be great to learn about what you guys know. Okay. Next questions to you guys. What do you think would be the different components of any social or any business project? Like what elements, when you're planning a project or when you're planning a business, what kind of areas you should be focusing on? And those 2 people who know BMC, please don't answer. It's very logical, intuitive. सोचो जो भी मन में आए, you can say it. Funding, revenue, nice. Gia, great. Directly, like funding, पैसों के बारे में first. That is a very, very good approach. Anybody else? एक के बारे में तो हम already बात कर चुके. We have already spoken about one area. Target demographic. I think Gia, you know BMC. You're not allowed to say any more answers. Anybody else? Guesswork. There is no right and wrong. Anybody wants to try? Neil, Priyanka, Anukriti, anybody wants to share what would be the tools? Okay. Customer, stakeholder, consumers, nice. Risk, regulations, okay, nice. Okay, 1 or 2 answers on the mic, and then I can move. No pressure. Product, service, customers, impact, value creation. Anand, wow, you have covered a lot. Okay, so we have to close as promised before 8. So I'm just going to move on now. Asset generation and management. Wow, Neil, that's deep, but that is very advanced topic. We are going to go to a very simple business, like a planning tool. Uh, this is the business model canvas. It is used by most of all the entrepreneurs that I have worked with. It is not easy to implement or understand. It took me, while working with entrepreneurs, it took me around around 3 years to get a full hang of understanding it for product based organization, for service based organization, for idea stage, and for growth stage businesses. But it's a fantastic tool for planning and can be used very, very easily and very frequently for different stages of your business. So somebody who's idea stage, somebody who's diversifying their product or services, somebody who's at growth stage, anybody can use this tool. And look at the components. The idea is not that you understand everything in one go. The idea is that you get a hang of this tool to answer basic components, to get basic components of your project together, and then eventually you keep working on it. Yeah. Okay. And the way the tool is used is from my right hand side to the left hand side, which means from segments to key partners to cost structure and revenue streams. Yeah. So customer segments is something that we have already done. So customer segments, if you are at the initial stage of your initiative, you need to focus on who is going to be using your product or service. And I think we have already got some answers. If you're slightly ahead in that curve, then think about whom you're going to be selling it to. And if the user is different from the buyer, then who exactly is the segment that you're really tapping? And for each organization or initiative, there are most likely multiple customer segments, multiple people that you are reaching out to. So think about who are your stakeholders, or who is your customer, your user or your buyer. Um, uh, who would be, even in that, who would be the most motivated to get your service? There are always early buyers or early movers who will be there. Who is most underserved? Like, even when you're talking about ESG, even when you're talking about water areas, there are different players, non-profit organization, private players, corporates. So who are your customers who are not served by these stakeholders, and who will gain the most? So think about who exactly will benefit, come on very quickly, and identify that customer segment or that key stakeholder first, who will be using your product or service in this very stage of your initiative. So that is customer segment. We have taken few examples, so I'm going to move on. Value proposition. Now, value proposition basically is what value you're delivering to your key stakeholder. Now, value proposition changes with customer segment, which means that if you are working with house helps or domestic workers, your value proposition for them would be very different compared to, suppose, if you're working with an agency and a non-profit organization. So when whichever project you're working on, you're trying to solve a problem, you need to look at what problem are you trying to solve and for whom. And depending on the problem, the solution that you're offering, the value proposition will change. Now let's look at some example, and I think let me just call upon Aaron to to answer what would be the value proposition according to you for the community members that for whom you're trying to create a safe space. Why will they come to your business or to your project or to your social space?
I'm sorry, can you just repeat the question because my phone's kind of glitching. So,
So what kind of value proposition or what kind of value would you be providing to the community members, be it LGBTQ or PWDs or or women, when they come to your space?
so I don't know if it's right or wrong. Like,
Yeah.
um, probably it might just give them an exposure. So if the women are into like, I guess someone said about, I don't remember, some women, I guess it was Gia. She
Hmm.
wanted for domestic worker, like women can come and she wanted to employ them. So they can also come to the spaces. They can like have their own exhibition. Like I was planning to have to create a space for them to have an exhibition or visibility spaces for art installations and stuff like that. So
Right.
it can give me them a exposure to like promote their business, their small businesses. So I guess that would be helpful for now. That's what I can think of right now. And I
Right.
had like a plan in mind about nurseries. Like
Mhm.
you can build up nurseries, and like it can help in the urban greening project as well. Like a community
Right.
garden, it can give employment opportunities for the PWDs. They can just
Right.
be at one place, they can just go around, they can just sell plants, and it can like create revenue for them as well. And they can keep like some for them, and then some we can give to the NGOs who are trying to benefit from this community gardens. So yeah,
Right.
that's what
So
I have in my mind.
there are two kinds of customers or two kinds of stakeholders that you're catering to. One are also which overlaps with Gia's main customers, which where you give them opportunities for income. So income being your value proposition, and for PWDs, employment opportunity is another one. Which is both basically both of them are related to income. So that's your value proposition. I can see somebody has typed something in chat. Anand had said to solve the problem of large amount of initial money requirement by the household by adopting solar power at their homes. Yeah, so initial money required by. So Anand, I'm not sure about the exact value that you are saying, but you're saying that if somebody wants to establish solar power systems in their house, they would be able to do it without investing a huge money. So Anand is reducing the initial cost of initial investment to the customers wanting to move to cleaner energy. Okay, great. Anybody else wants to share what value they would be creating for their key stakeholders or customers? It is not right or wrong. We are just, everybody's at the starting point, everybody's figuring out. So don't hesitate. Priyanka, would you like to share? So Neil Joshi, you are saying generation of cleaner air, but this is a very generic response. Maybe you would want to specify more. For whom are you creating cleaner air? And like, is it people who are already like aware and are suffering from respiratory disorders? Would those be your target audience? And is it a value proposition for them?
Okay, got it. I'll just develop on that and answer.
Sure. Okay, so this is value proposition is something that is really, really crucial because that will reflect on all your marketing and communication. That will also reflect on how you are presenting your project to other people. This is your value proposition to your end customer. This is your vision. So take some time for, sorry, take some time to articulate this. Okay. Anybody has any questions till now about key customer segment and value proposition? You will be doing a hands-on exercise. So if you have any question, please tell us now. Yes, Aaron.
Wait, Gia, you want to go first? She can. I mean,
Yeah, you had
yeah.
written under value proposition. What exactly is a decision trigger?
A decision trigger is basically like a piece of information that will help you take a decision. It can be your price. So if your price is say 100 rupees more than your competitor, and then you do a sale, and now the price is 10 rupees less than your competitor, then that's a decision trigger.
Yeah,
Or even distance in terms of you have to access a particular product or service far away from where you are, but now because you are doing home delivery, then people will think, okay, my 30 minutes commute time is reduced. Aaron, you want to go ahead with your question?
It was the same question. I was also confused about a decision trigger itself. Yes, that's clear. Thank you.
Right. So for decision trigger, you can use something called as FAB, which is features of your product or services, attributes, what qualities that the product or service would have, and benefits. So based on these three, you can physical or tangible features, and it can be distance, it can be affordability, it can be environment friendliness. What kind of features? Benefits to your customer, how would they benefit from these features? You can decide your value propositions by figuring out what are these three elements in the project that you're the service that you're offering, or the product that you're offering. Anand has written near pain and gain, it's written B2B, B2C. Could you please explain how they are connected to pain and gain? Pain and ache. Anand, I'm sorry, but I didn't understand your question. I'll just explain what is B2B is and what is B2C. B2B is business to business. So when you are bringing your product to another, you are a business, and when you sell your product to another product or service to another business, it is B2B. B2C is business to consumer or customer. So when you do retail sales, that is B2C. Okay. The idea is what problem you're trying to solve for your key customer or uh, key stakeholders. That is the value proposition that you should be focusing on. Okay, distribution channels. So your end consumer or end key stakeholder is basically, for Gia's case, domestic help. For Aaron's case, anybody, PWDs. But how do you reach them? How do you take your product, the service, to these end consumers or customers? What are the different channels that you can engage? What are the different channels you can use to get through your end customers or end consumers of your product and service? So let's forget about this discovery, evaluation, purchase, delivery, and after sales service. But for now, just to simplify it, is think about, if you have to reach your domestic helpers, how would you do it? You can go to a society and knock on each house ka door and get information of the domestic help over there. You can go to an agency who's already working with a number of domestic helps, or you can go to a non-profit organization who might be working with domestic helps, right? So what are your channels, or what are the places, online or offline, where you'll be able to uh, reach your end consumer or end customer or key stakeholders? Anybody wants to share? If you're working with corporates, to implement sustainable, ESG policies or ESG tools, how will you reach your corporate? What are your mediums? Are you going to go networking? Are you going to meet them in a forum where ESG is a topic of conversation? So, yeah, so figure out some examples of where you're going to find your end customer. And I would like to have some new people sharing their insights. So I'm going to be calling out some names. Vishwas, do you want to share? Anand has already written website and already converted customers through our installation partners, financial institutions. Okay, Anand is very on to Anand, your project is already have all the elements in place. I mean, that's a great thing.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah. Can I?
Vishwas, would you want? Yeah.
Yeah. So for my project, my distribution channel can be because it is mostly related with public projects. So it would be dealing with government institutes and some of the investment firms or venture capitalists. So it will be beneficial for me to not contact them directly, but rather
Right.
use various forums or networking meetings in which I can directly pitch my idea to them. Because generally nowadays sustainability and ESG is in a rising stage.
Yeah.
So corporates are looking for some sustainable solutions, and for that they come to many forums. So it is best to meet them and display my idea to them through some forum or a meeting area.
Right. So this is B2B and this is very personalized. And this you'll be doing by meeting your end consumers one-on-one basis. Great.
Yep.
Okay. Triple bottom line. Here generally we use a different block, but since it's a social project, we'll be looking at, when you're thinking about your project, think about these three specific areas. One, what is the environment outcome or impact that your project would have? Two, what is the economic gain that your target beneficiaries will have? Three, what is the social change that your project will bring into the community? And some of you will have a very clear idea of what will go into all three buckets, but some of you can start with just one or two outcomes. So the way to go about is, think about the social impact that you had mentioned when we started, and think which bucket does it go to. Does it go to environment outcome? Does it go to economic gain for your beneficiary? Does it go to us bringing about a social change for your beneficiaries? So which bucket does it go? And then start from there. You don't have to fill in all three areas right now. Revenue streams. So when you talk about revenue streams, there are two aspects. One is the service that you're creating or the product that you're creating can give you a direct revenue. For example, if you're working with corporates who want to implement ESG in their company, they will pay you for that kind of service. But if you do not have a product or service that is immediately revenue generating, then you will have to think about who would be paying for those services. That can be either the government, either can be covered under the CSR of corporates, or will it be online fundraising for you through crowdfunding? Where is the money coming for? And when you look at, and I know it says revenue stream, but it is more sustainability. The aspect is more sustainability for your project. Who is going to fund it in the short run, and who is going to fund it in the long run? So think about where is the money for implementation coming for. Even if you are doing a project which is not cash heavy or capital heavy, or does not require any kind of resources, don't forget that you will be the resource that would be going out. You will be using your time. You will be traveling, talking to people. There is general overhead expenses. Um, so let's look at some examples from the group itself of what kind of revenue. Actually, let's look at what kind of expenses you are going to be incurring. So, who wants to talk about some expenses that they think they would incur while working on the project? And you can go like very basic expense, like doing phone calls. Anybody wants to share? Can I have some new people? Anukruti, Dishan, Dia, would you like to share what kind of expenses do you foresee, say, in the first 3 years of running the project?
I think first would be for me the cost of replaceability
Right,
for aluminium in my case, and
right,
also setting up the unit. The entire input cost will be something which would take a lot of funding. Yeah.
yeah. Great. Thank you. Anybody else wants to share what kind of cost they will incur while implementing their project? That's okay. You can change your cost heads later on. Right now, we are just gathering ideas. Anukriti, Dia,
Yeah,
Priyanka, would you like to share? Yeah.
getting plant seeds and then also arranging for basic gardening equipment would cost. And if
Right.
the area is small, then we'll have to look for pots or when we can plant,
Right.
and also arranging soil.
Great. I mean, these are direct capital expenses. Great. So now let's look at where is this money going to come from when you have to, where can you raise that money from? Any thoughts? It is tough tough space in terms of figuring out where the money is going to come from, and fundraising is tough, but you have to put something on the paper to for your project. So and this is generally ideation. There is no Like, this is the very first stage, so don't worry if it doesn't happen later on. This is just putting ideas to paper.
So, do you mean in this that what are we going to pitch if we want to raise money?
No, where are you going to raise money from? Who is the person that you're going to be pitching to?
So, I mean, is it like investors?
Investors can be one. So suppose if you're doing nursery in a space, right? You have a direct revenue stream. You sell the plants, you get money, right? But if you're not doing a nursery, if you're doing a project where which is intensive, which is capital intensive, or a project that cannot ever become a revenue generating project, then you will have still need the money to do the project, right? Like to implement the project. So who is going to be funding it? Investors can be one for sure. Do I want to give it a try?
No, I was just thinking. I mean, I just can't think of investors till now.
Great, no worries. I mean, if you one starting point is great. So Anand has shared development banks, right? Impact funds and venture capitalists. Okay. Anybody else would like to think? This is just thinking. This is just figuring out. Where will the money to implement the project come from? Who will be the one who would be?
Can a possible revenue stream be like government subsidy or government aid?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody else wants to share? If you have a revenue model, you can share your revenue model as well. Like, what are the customers going to pay you for?
What about international organizations like UN and those sort of?
Absolutely. Yeah, UNAIDS, any intermediary organizations, any international non-profit organization, they all can be your funders, or they can all help you sustaining your business financially, sustaining your project financially. Okay, these are some great example. Let's move ahead. The best money is the customer's money, but if you're not working on a project which has direct revenue streams, then you'll have to think about who's going to pay for these expenses, who is going to be a funder, your investor, and that will go under revenue streams. Key resources now, right from setting up a community farming place to implementing any clean energy initiative, there are certain resources that would be required. Now, think about all the resources that you will need. If you're looking at a community space, you will need that physical space, right? If you're looking at establishing a nursery, then you will need a space for the nursery. You will need the plants. You will need water resource. Then you will need whatever material is required for establishing a nursery. So think about what are your key resources, and these are some examples. But depending on project and depending on your business, the key resources will change. So anybody wants to share what kind of resources they think their business will need, or their project would need? Aaron, you want to share?
So I had like a plan, like afternoon only, I was just pondering over it. So I was planning to have this community gardens in spaces like I was passed to the coastal road project. So there are these empty spaces below the coastal road. So we can like create some small gardens over there as well, and like some parts of Deona dumping grounds as well. So it's like
Right.
creating recreational ground, and it won't cost much because
Right.
we are just cleaning it up and we're just building something over there. Or you can even go for old train yards or ruined docks,
Yeah.
basically
Right.
like the Sassoon docks, like which the part is not used. We can just rehabilitate that and then build something over there so people can come and
Yeah.
access that area. So yeah, that's what I thought about it. So yeah.
Sure, public spaces can be one of the resource for sure.
Yeah.
And
Also, with respect to water and plumbing, so we can install, like, because of the gender neutral washroom, we can install like a sewage treatment plant. So you can just reuse that water in the flush tank and you can just keep on reusing it. And the water from the basins can be used for plants as well. Like this is the thing which people in villages as well. Like after washing vessels and like rice and stuff, they just pour it into the small canals which lead to the coconut trees and all on which the plants grow. So you can use that mindset to this community gardens as well. So there would be less water resources to be utilized as well. So yeah,
Right.
that's what
So,
I've thought of.
irrespective of, yeah, I think these are great ideas. And Sonali has written that there is a good example of this under Lower Parel flyover. But think about what is it that you'll require to implement this. So, if you need to establish a physical infrastructure, then you'll need a architect, right? Or maybe you'll need construction material. So, think about all the resources in depth that you will need to establish a space like that. Few people have written their thoughts. Priyanka had said human resources, sustainable event planning, and reusable material. Maybe Priyanka, you can think about when you say sustainable event planning, are you going to be the event planner, or are you looking at somebody who does event planning and ask them if they will provide that service? So maybe that specification you can go into. Reusable material, reusable event related material. So maybe you would want to focus more on what level is the event? Is it birthday party or is it marriages or is it corporate events? Because the material usage for all these three would be very, very different. So think about what specific area you're going to dive in initially. Yeah. Okay. So we have dwelled on key resources enough. Let's move on to key activities. Now, key activities are, whenever you're implementing a project, there would be certain activities that you would have to do. For example, if you are working on, say, launching a product, launching a project, then what are the key activities of launching a project? Suppose let's take an example of establishing a nursery. So, key activities would be first buying the plants, or buying the seeds, then watering it every day, then sales activity, promotion of the nursery. So, depending on what is your first phase of implementation of the project, and also keep in mind what you have written as your key consumer, key stakeholders, and your key resources and your cost. What are the key activities that you'll be implementing? So ensure that all of this is in sync. Like your key activities reflect your key resources that you'll be using for implementing your project, and the key cost will reflect the key resources that you will be using to implement your key activities. So think about all the major tasks that you will be doing to implement the project, and that will go under key activities. Okay, we are running out of time a little bit. So I'm going to rush through the next slides. They're all easy. Key partners are the people that you will be partnering to implement your project. So whether it is, if you're looking at public spaces, then you have to partner with somebody who is taking care of the public space, whose jurisdiction or whose responsibility is about taking care of the public space. If you're working with uh, domestic workers, then the agencies, the households, any non-profit organizations, they would all become your key partners. If you're doing a training program, then anybody who's providing you space will become your key partner. If you are, if so, these are all the people that you will be working with, either at a operational level to implement your project or at a strategic level to mobilize resources. So these are generally key partners. Cost structure we have already covered. This is the entire business model canvas. This will, once you put it together, it will give you a overview of what you need to do to implement your project. Yeah. And okay, my slides are not moving. Okay, any questions about any of these areas that you might have? Because after this, we'll be getting on into doing the activity.
Ma'am, is there any way for you to share the uh, PPT? Because I'm not sure if my notes are comprehensive.
I'm so sorry, but we can't share the PPT. We are also using material that is created by somebody else on a promise that we will not pass it on. So,
Oh, okay. Thank you so
so I
much.
can't share it. But we will be sharing the template for BMC that you can use. Yeah, it has information from a perspective of running a business, but it has the key points. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Also, this session is getting recorded, so you can get the recording from Sonali.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay.
Yes,
Any questions?
we'll be sharing the recording with everyone post the session, so don't worry.
Great. Any questions, or we'll go and do the breakout activity now? Okay, so we will now do the breakout activity. I am going to stop sharing my screen. And Felician, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay,
Very
can you
much.
share the template on chat? So
Sure.
Felician will share the template on chat, and we will now break out into 3 rooms. This is like independent activity, which means that you will be working in the room on your own project, on your own business model canvas. And we don't have a lot of time, so we'll do 20 minutes of breakout activity. Right now is 7:20. So 7:20, 7:30, 7:40. So 7:45, we come back, yeah, to discuss. And what I will be doing is we'll be opening 3 rooms, and Felician will be adding all the participants in the 3 rooms. I will be available. I will be jumping from one room to another. And if you have any questions, I'll answer at that point of time. Please note, a social project at a ideation stage would be very different from a idea stage business or idea stage startup. Also, like the information might be very, very relevant to growth stage enterprises. So I will be there to answer your questions. Yeah. Felician, can you also create the breakout room? Please download the template from chat. Great. So we don't have much time, so let's talk very quickly. Talk about, did you guys face any challenges while filling plan? Did you guys face any challenges while filling the? Were you able to figure out plan
Or
the
just
business model
comment
experience sharing?
Were you able to figure
that you like
out
to share? Or just comment experience sharing. Anything that you like to share? Was it tough?
I actually have a doubt regarding triple
Was it
bottom line.
tough? Right.
I
Tell
actually
me.
have a doubt regarding
So
I just triple like could bottom not line. Like understand
Right.
like my
Tell me.
project works
So
around
I just like
environment
could not
completely.
like
Like
understand
it
like
creates a better
my
environment as
project
it is supposed to have a lot
works
of
around
trees and
environment completely.
act as an
Like
urban
it creates a
forest
better
kind of
environment
thing.
as it is supposed to have a
Right.
lot of trees and
So
act as an
like do we
urban
have to
forest
fill
kind of
all
thing.
threes like
Right.
in social also and economic
So
also, or just
like do
environment
we have to
works?
fill all threes like
For
in
now,
social also
environment
and economic
works,
also, or
but
just
most
environment
of it
works?
you will find that there is some sort
for
of
now
social
environment works,
and some
but
sort
most
of
of it
economic
you will
benefit
find that there
to
is
the
some
project.
sort of
Any social
social
project that you
and some
take,
sort of
their
economic
maybe
benefit
for a social
to the
project, maybe not
project.
environment,
Any
but
social
environment
project
project
that you
there is
take,
always a
there
social
maybe for a social
outcome
project, maybe
and
not
a
environment,
economic
but
outcome.
environment project there is always
And
a
maybe at
social
the project level for your
outcome
direct
and
for your
economic
beneficiaries, maybe you'll
outcome.
not able to identify
And
it,
maybe at the
but
project
in the
level for
long
your
run,
direct for your
as
beneficiaries,
you work
maybe
on the
you'll not
project,
able
you
to
will be able to
identify it.
identify what is
But
the
in the long
what
run,
is the
as you work on the project, you will be able
what
to
is the
identify
economic
what is
outcome. And
the
I'll give you a very
what
random
is
example.
the
If you have a lot of trees
what is the economic
around
outcome.
a
And I'll give you a very
residential
random
place,
example.
the
If you
temperature
have a lot
overall
of
is cooler,
trees
which means people are
around
using
a
less AC, which means
residential
that there is
place,
economic
the
benefit
temperature
overall.
overall is
And this is the
cooler,
most
which means people are using less AC,
most
which means that
random
there is
example that
economic
I'm
benefit
sharing.
overall.
So
And this is the
if you
most
are working in, say,
most
a
random
community closer to
example
the
that I'm
urban
sharing.
area and having
So if
forest
you
area
are
and people are
working in,
foraging,
say,
so
a
low income
community
people
closer to the
would,
urban
if
area
they're
and
foraging,
having
they
forest
reduce
area
the
and people are
cost of
foraging,
the
so low
food
income people
expenses
would,
that they
if
would
they're
incur
foraging, they
in case
reduce
they
the
are
cost of
living with
the food
in a space
expenses
which
that
is
they would
highly
incur
concretized.
in case they are
So
living with
eventually you will figure out what are the
in a space
social
which is
benefits as
highly
well.
concretized.
So
But if you
eventually
have
you
an
will figure out
environmental
what are the
project,
social
automatically there is
benefits
a
as well.
social and there is a economic
But
benefit.
if you have an environmental
I
project,
haven't come across an
automatically there is a
example.
social and there
Can't
is a
remember
economic
example where a
benefit.
social
I haven't come
intervention
across an
has economic
example.
has environmental
Can't remember
benefit,
example
but there
where
are
a
cases like
social
that also. Intervention has economic has
yeah.
environmental benefit, but there are
But
cases
right
like
now
that
in one or
also.
two example, like covering just one. Right now, in one or two one indicators. Anand, definitely challenging. Some of the things were overlapping. Maybe it's because of the time constraint. Yeah, I agree. Definitely challenging. Some of the things were overlapping. Maybe it's because of the time constraint. At least yeah, I agree. 3 days. I was saying that if I have to fill this template ever, it will at least take me 3 days to do justice to the template. So with doing it in 20 minutes is well articulated. It's not possible. It's not feasible. So the idea is that you get a hang of it, that you understand how to go about it rather than completing it. The idea is that you get a hang of it, that you understand how to go about it rather than overlapping, but not a lot. So there has to be should not be too much synchronized. There would be overlapping, but not a lot. It has to be need to be it has to be synchronized. Your beneficiary and key partners can be and your similar, can be same. So that your beneficiary and key partners can not too much overlapping can be same. So that overlapping might be there, but not too much overlapping. Anybody else want to share thoughts, comments, questions? Anybody else wants to share thoughts, comments, questions? Or was it too intense at this stage of your Did you enjoy this activity? Or was it too intense at this stage of your project idea? Okay, so Priyanka is saying that you have no clue. So maybe we can start with okay. So Priyanka is saying that you have no clue. At least one so maybe we can start with areas of the Priyanka. Let's start with trying to fill in at least one or two. Can you tell me a little bit about the project that you're working on? Tool? You had mentioned ESG, right? ESG. Can you tell me a little bit about the project that you're working on?
Yeah.
You had mentioned ESG,
So
right?
basically, it's
ESG
about
incorporates.
encouraging eco-friendly gatherings.
Yeah.
As I said, it's like fostering. So basically, it's about encouraging eco-friendly gatherings. As I said, it's like fostering sustainable methods for organizing events and eliminating plastic usage and discovering sustainable and reusable options within our household usage and discovering sustainable and
Right. So who would be your key
reusable options
stakeholders?
within our household and communities. So the key stakeholders would be
Right. So who would be your key
the
stakeholders?
clients, I would say. So the key stakeholders to start with the community members. The clients, I would
Right.
say.
So your key
And
stakeholders
to
would be
start
community
with the
members who
community
would be
members.
also your customers, right? Key
Right.
customers. So your key
Correct.
stakeholders would be community members who would be
And
also
then
your
let's look at
customers,
key
right? Key
resources.
customers. If you have to start the
Correct.
project now, like say tomorrow,
Okay.
what would be
And
the
then
first
let's look
resource
at
you
key
would need to
resources. If you
initiate
have
the
to start the
project?
project now,
Like say tomorrow,
the
what would be the first
reusable and
resource you would
sustainable
need to
resources
initiate the
that we use
project?
in a party. So, for example, let's say if I were to hold, let's
reusable
say,
and sustainable
a
resources
very
that we
to
use in a
start with
party.
very
So for
smaller
example,
birthday
let's say
party
if I were
itself, then
to hold,
everything
let's
that
say,
is used
a
in
very
general
to
parties
start with very
has to
smaller
be
birthday
replaced.
party
I mean,
itself,
everything
then
plastic
everything
that is used in
is
these
used
parties
in
has to
general
be
parties
replaced.
with a
Has to be
sustainable
replaced. I mean, everything plastic that is used in these
alternate.
parties
For
has to be
example, using
replaced
the
with the
glasses instead
sustainable
of the
plastic glasses.
so
Alternate, for
doing those
example, using the glasses
So
instead of
decoration
the
material,
plastic glasses.
then food
So doing
material, the
those.
serving material, these would
So
be your key
decoration
resources, right?
material,
Then
correct.
food material, the
So
serving
you have your
material,
key
these would be your
customers,
key
you have your key
resources, right?
resources.
Now partners, who
Correct.
would you partner to implement, say,
So
a
you have your
party?
key customers, you have your key resources. Now
The
partners, who would
vendors
you
who are
partner to
going to
implement, say, a
supply
party?
the things to me. I mean, all
The
the
vendors
decoration, the
who are
food,
going to
the
supply
sitting
the
arrangement,
things to
everything.
me.
I mean, all the
Right. So you
decoration, the
have your
food,
key stakeholders,
the
I mean your
sitting arrangement,
customer, you
everything.
have your key
Right. So you have your
resources,
key
you
stakeholders,
have
I
your
mean your
key partners.
customer, you
What is the
have
value
your
proposition? What
key
is the
resources,
value that you're offering to
you
your
have your
key
key
partners? What is the value proposition? What is
Unable to
the
think of it
value
yet.
that you're offering to your key customers? So I will like this is something that
Unable to
another
think
of
of
our
it yet.
organization in Jaipur is doing.
So I will
So the
like
key
this is
value
something
is
that
a lot
another
of
of
people
people
like
organization
the way
in
we are
Jaipur is
aware of
doing.
all the
So
negative
the key
impact of
value
doing
is
an
lot of people
like
like
the way we
an
are aware of
eco-friendly
all the
party.
negative
A lot
impact
of people
of
are
doing
looking
an
for environment friendly ways of
doing
uneco-friendly
a
party.
party,
A lot
and
of people are
the
looking for
value that you
environment
will be
friendly ways
providing
of
them would be doing a
opportunity to
party,
have
and
to have a
the value that you
celebration
will be providing
without
them would be having
opportunity
without
to
feeling
have
guilty
a
of
to have a celebration
of
without creating wastage.
having without feeling guilty
So
of
that can be a good
of
value to start with. Of
creating
course,
wastage.
that is the value that they were
So
working
that
with,
can
but
be
it will
a
change
good value
for
to
your
start
business.
with. Of
Depending
course,
on how
that is the
it
value
evolved.
that they were working with,
But
but
this
it will
can be a
change
starting point
for
for
your
you.
business depending
So
on how
you
it
have 4 or
evolved.
5 elements already
But
going,
this can be a
and I
starting
guess you
point for
will
you. You would want to sit down with
you
your
have
mentor
4 or
and
5
work on the
elements
other
already
elements,
going,
right? What
and
would
I
be
guess
actually the revenue
you
stream
would
is
want to
also
sit down
very
with your
clear.
mentor and
If
work
you're
on the
organizing the
other
party,
elements,
people
right?
would
What
be
would be
paying you for your
actually the revenue
service.
stream is also very clear.
And
If
you
you're
can figure out
organizing
the
the party,
channels. How
people
will
will
you
be
get
paying
your
you for your
customers?
service.
Are they if they are
Um,
and you can figure out the channels. How would you get your customers? Can you go to if they are go to school
kids' birthday
events,
parties,
school
then their
like
parents.
events where the
Can
schools
you
are
go
happening,
to
and
can
reach
you
out
go
to
to
these
school
parents?
events?
Can you
School
promote your
like events
business
where the
on
schools
a
are happening
website that is
and
targeted
reach out to
specifically
these
to
parents? Can you promote
educational,
your
specifically
business
to
on a
parents?
website that is targeted
So yeah,
specifically to
I think
educational
this can
specifically to
be, would
parents?
this be a good structure or
So
good
yeah,
I think
like a bare bones
this
skeleton
can
for you
be,
to work
would
on
this
the
be a
BMC
good
model?
structure or good
Yeah, and can you
like
also
a bare
name the
bones skeleton for you
organization
to
in
work
Jaipur
on the
that works
BMC
in
model?
this? And can you also name the
Yeah, I
organization in
don't
Jaipur that works
remember
in
the
this?
name right now.
Felicia, who's the
Yeah, I
organization?
don't remember the name
The
right now.
Mala organization? Felicia,
Prabhat
who's the
Mala,
organization? The Mala organization?
Um,
Prabhat Mala.
is this
uh, I can't
Jane,
name
Pinky
right
Jane?
now.
Is that Pinky Jane? Are you
No,
talking
no,
about?
Pinky, not
I
Pinky.
can't
No, no.
Jane,
name
So,
Pinky Jane? Is
Priyanka,
that
I will
Pinky Jane?
share the
Are you talking
information
about?
of the organization to
So,
Sonali,
Priyanka, I will share
and
the
she can
information
pass it on
of
to
the
you.
organization to
Sure,
Sonali,
thanks, Itan.
and
She can pass it
Diya,
on
you
to
want
you.
to ask something?
Sure, thanks, Itan.
Yeah, I just had a general question.
Diya, you want
So
to ask
when we are
something?
filling this, yeah, I just had a general question about this. So when we are filling this social projects, mostly it might add a lot of value to the social society and the community in general. It might add a lot of value to it might not be as profitable in general as other businesses are. It might not be as profitable as other businesses are. I mean, investors might not just that interested. Call that part just where investors are interested. Just call that part also where investors are positive societal and also it
I think this is a great
brings
question.
positive
If you're looking at
societal
raising funds, you would want to know
I think
what
this is
is
a great
the
question.
so your
If
customer
you're
or
looking
your
at raising
client
funds,
or
you
your
would
key
want to know
stakeholder
what is
becomes
the
the
one that who's going to be
so
paying
your
for the
customer or
project.
your client
So why would
or your
somebody
key
pay for a
stakeholder
social
becomes the
project,
one that who's
unlike
going to be
businesses
paying
where there
for the
is a
project.
revenue
So why
model,
would
where there
somebody
is
pay for
a
a social project
key, there is
unlike
a return on
businesses where
investment.
there is a
So
revenue
all
model
social
where there
problems
is a
cannot be solved
key
there is a
with
return on investment
with
so
businesses.
all
So some
social
of the social
problems cannot
problems
be
are
solved
required to
with
solve with
aid-based
with
funding.
businesses.
I mean,
So
there are
some
a
of
lot
the
of
social problems are
social
required to
financing models
solve
that
with
are available.
aid-based funding.
So depending on
I mean,
the
there are a
impact
lot
that you are
a
having,
lot of social
you can
financing
always
models
take the
that are
impact
available.
pitch to
So
the
depending on
investor
the
or a
impact that
funder,
you are having,
and
you
then
can always
you
take
pitch
the
not
impact
for
pitch
the
to
return on
the
investment in
financial
funder,
aspect,
but
and
social
then
return on
you pitch
investment
not
on
for the
social change
return on
that your
investment in
project will bring
financial
in.
aspect,
So
but all
all return on
non-profit
investment on social
organizations
change that your
generally show the
project will bring
impact
in.
of the
So
investment
all
that
non-profit
the
organizations
that
generally
the
show the impact of the
funders or donors are
investment
doing,
that
and that's
the
how they raise money. Yeah, Felicia, you want to add
that
something?
the funders or donors are doing,
Yes,
and that's
adding
how
to
they raise money. Yeah, Felicia,
Priyanka's,
you want to add something?
thought, adding to Priyanka's, thought, for something like this, when you put a, when you start putting in, for something like this, when you put on paper, you need to also think about a case study similar to your project. On paper, maybe for example, what I think about a case study similar to your project. Maybe for example, what I understanding, why don't you follow that kind of case study and why don't you follow that kind of case study points like who are your key partners, what are your vendors, like points like who are your key partners, what are your vendors, like you can also banquet across the city. All these can be your channels as well as across the city. Trees are all these can be your channels. So I think you can, if you can't find trees are also highlighted answers, you can work around. You can, if you can't find working in that answers, you can work around. That's how you will get your working in that base of your. I think that's how you will get your. That's at least the base
That's a
how
great
I
idea. Yeah, that's a great idea, Felicia. And thank you
that's
so
my
much.
thought. I mean,
That's
that's
a
how
great
I
idea. Yeah, that's a great idea,
Thanks,
Felicia. And
Felicia.
thank you so much.
Diya, was your question answered?
Yeah, so
Thanks,
basically,
Felicia.
you are talking about the
Dia, was your question
SROI
answered?
tool, which
Yeah.
so basically, you are talking about the SROI tool which investors they're doing good on this. Does it help them improve their ESG ratings? For example, the MSCI does it help them improve their ESG ratings? For example, the
I think you're
MSCI
going to have a
scores
separate
and
session for
all those.
ESG and understanding
Okay.
governance and understanding this
I think
thing.
you're going to have a
But
separate session for
it
ESG
will
and
depend
understanding
on
governance and understanding this
on
thing. the company
But
or depending on the
it will
organization
depend
that
on
is coming to
on
fund
the
the
company
initiative.
or depending on
So
the
if it aligns
organization
with the
that is
CSR of a
coming
organization,
to fund
it
the
definitely
initiative.
helps because they are
So if it
fulfilling
aligns
their
with the
social
CSR of a
responsibility
organization, it definitely helps
as
because they are
a
fulfilling their social
as a
responsibility
corporate
as
member of the community. So
as a
that
corporate
definitely aligns, but I think it is far more deeper
member of
and
the community.
an expert
So
sharing
that
this kind
definitely
of
aligns,
insight
but
is
I
much
think it is
better
far
than
more
me
deeper
touching the
and
surface or
an expert
giving
sharing
you
this kind of
superficial
insightful
information.
is much better than me
But
touching the surface
definitely
or
help
giving you
having
superficial
projects that
information.
directly aligns
But
with the corporate's
definitely
help
CSR role,
having
or
projects
their
that directly
core
aligns with the
operations
corporates
definitely improves
CSR
their
role or
ESG
their
score for sure.
core
Yeah.
operations.
Okay,
Definitely
I think
improves
we
their
are a little bit over
ESG
time.
score
We
for
have
sure.
1 minute.
Yeah.
Felician, can you launch the
Okay,
poll?
I think we are a little bit over time. We have 1 minute. Felician, can you launch the poll?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, this is a more of an evaluation poll on how the session went for you.
Okay,
So
this
the
is
first
a
question
more
is
of an
how well do
evaluation
you
poll on
believe
how
you
the session
grasp
went
business
for
model
you.
canvas,
So
key
the first
concepts and
question is how
components
well do you believe you
in
grasp
this
business
training?
model canvas?
Key concepts and components in this training. That is the first question. Second question is based on your understanding of the BMC, which building
That is the
block
first
do you think
question.
will
Second
be the
question
most
is based
critical
on
for
your
your
understanding of
community-based
the BMC,
ESG? Which building block do you think will be the most critical for your community-based ESG? Do you feel that you have gained insight into how to apply the BMC to your
Do you feel
community-based
that you have
ESG
gained insight
project?
into how
To apply the BMC to your community-based ESG project? Okay, we have got 8 responses. We are looking for one more response and then we
Okay,
can
we have got
close.
8 responses.
We are looking for one more response and then we can close. Okay, here is the result. In case you feel that you were alone in this boat, that's not true.
Okay, here is the result. In
Two
case
of you
you
have
feel that
got
you were alone
somewhat
in this boat,
an
that's not
idea
true.
of what business model canvas key
Two of
concepts
you
and
have got
components are.
somewhat
They are not
an
easy to
idea of what
understand.
business model
As I was saying
canvas
that
key
it took me
concepts
3
and
years working
components
with.
are. They are
I
not
think
easy to
over
understand.
50
As I was saying
organizations
that it took
to
me 3 years
understand
working with
BMC clearly.
I think
And I'm
over
still
50
learning. So I
organizations
get
to
you.
understand
If you have
BMC
understood it
clearly,
fairly
and I'm
well,
still learning. So I
you are on
get
the
you.
right path.
If you have understood
You
it
will work
fairly
on
well,
it. You'll have to work on it to
you are
learn,
on the right
understand it
path.
deeply. If you have understood it
You
very
will
well,
work on it.
I'm
You'll have to
kudos to
work on
you
it to learn,
guys for
understand it deeply. If you have understood it very well,
being
I'm kudos to
present
you,
and
guys,
being so
for
focused and
I'm very
being
happy that you have
present
understood
and
it very well.
being so focused
What
and I'm very
area
happy
do you
that you
think is
have
going to be
understood
the
it
most
very well.
important?
So these are the
What
areas: revenue streams,
area
key
do you think is
partners,
going to
cost
be the most
structure, triple
important?
bottom
So
line.
these are the
Fantastic.
areas.
Revenue streams,
Do you
key
feel you have gained
partners, cost
insight into
structure,
how to
triple
apply
bottom line.
BMC to your community?
Fantastic.
Okay, great.
Do you
So
feel
this
you have
was a
gained
success
insight
metric
into
for
how to
me.
apply
If you
BMC
have
to
got
your
some
community?
idea, but you need
Okay,
guidance,
great.
I think
So
you're
this
on the
was a success
right
metric
path.
for me.
If you have
If you
got a
have got
clear
some
understanding
idea
on
but
how
you
to
need
apply,
guidance, I think
I'm
you're on the
super
right
happy.
path.
If you
Thank
have
you
got a
so
clear
much
understanding on how to apply it,
for
I'm super
sharing
happy.
all
Thank you
these
so
insights very
much.
honestly.
Yeah, Aparna Makar. Okay,
For
thanks, Felicia.
sharing all these insights very
With
honestly.
this, we
Yeah,
sort of
Aparna
wrap up.
Makar. Okay, thanks,
It is
Felicia.
8:02.
And
With this, we
this is the
sort
end
of
of the
wrap up.
end of the
It is
session.
8:02. I hope I did justice
And this
to
is the
this
end of the
session
end
and
of the
you
session.
understood few aspects
I hope I
and
did
can get
justice
started with
to this
with
session
your
and you
project
understood few
um,
aspects
and
and
justify
can
it.
get started with your project and justify
Okay,
it.
Sonali, my job is done for the day.
And over to you. Okay, Sonali, my
Thanks
job
to
is
all
done
of
for the
you,
day.
Teresa,
And
Feliciana,
over to you.
and even Carol. Thanks to taking us through this. It was very interesting, and I think, especially since they are at the beginning, like it was very interesting, and I think, especially since they are at the beginning, like the stage, I think it would be good for them to kind of, ponder over it a bit. I think it would think about them a bit, kind of, ponder over it a bit and think about their project to actually now thanks so much to you and the team for taking this thanks so much in such detail to you and the team for taking this taking them through it in such detail. We will be forwarding the recording to you, so give us by Wednesday we will send it to you, so give us it by Wednesday. If you have any questions, any questions at all, maybe you can put them down. If you have any questions, or email me, and I'll be happy. Maybe you can put them down on the WhatsApp and team, or email me, and I'll be happy to forward them to Teresa and team. Thanks everyone, and I hope you enjoyed this first session of yours. I was telling Teresa. Thanks everyone, and I hope you enjoyed this first session of yours. I was telling Teresa we are actually, that this is the curtains have gone up on this today program for the first time. So I hope it was the curtains have gone up on this. I know you have program for the first time. You have a lot of sessions set up, and I know you have added. You know that you have a lot of sessions set up. You probably received invites. We'll update the list, etc. But thanks everyone for coming. You probably received invites. We'll update the list, etc. Like I said, if you have any questions, thank you for staying and participating. And like I said, if you have any questions, please ask.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great
Thanks
evening.
everyone for joining.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great
Thanks everyone
evening.
for joining.
Bye.
Bye-bye.